are at Levante right now. Levante Stables. You can see it behind me.
It's awesome. We are here. It is not Thursday night, so we're mixing things up. It's Friday night. It is a field trip. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 27.
Wow.
27 of Low Expectations. The Levante Stables field trip. And you better believe tonight, the beer is fantastic.
It's amazing.
But
we're going to mess something up.
yeah, we're terrible.
Yeah, we're just the worst. So sorry.
And we have guests, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we have Jim, and we've got Matt.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
We're live.
How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good. Good, man.
We are so thankful that we caught a break in the weather.
Yeah.
We're able to rock this outside.
Absolutely.
We're so thankful for you having us here. Thank you so much. This is
Our
like
pleasure.
we feel like we just made the big time. We're at Levante, man.
They don't know enough to say no yet.
We're not big time.
Yeah, we're not.
Big
We're
time.
not. We stick to our
If we're
roots.
getting big time, we're going to have to change things.
Well, yeah. Once I think we're big time, then
We're out.
yeah, then we're out.
Yeah, we're both
You're
out.
my kind of big time.
I appreciate it, guys. Cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers.
Cuddly.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. It's nice to feel normal again, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It is really, it is, it's like somebody flipped a switch. All of a sudden.
It's awesome that you said that
Yep.
because tonight feels totally normal.
It does.
It kind of feels like back to where we were.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
really nice.
I'm certainly not discounting the fact that we still have a situation,
Yes.
but I think we can agree we're on a different phase of this right now.
Yeah.
And, we're starting to, in some areas, getting some relief. So it's awesome just to be able to see you guys with no mask on and beautiful weather here. So glad to have you.
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't mind, I got some questions for these guys. I want to jump right in.
Everybody knows when we're on a field trip, I pretty much just sit here and be quiet. Except tonight, I'll do my best to stay quiet. But
He's a fanboy.
yeah, I will try not to interrupt too
Unabashed
much.
fan.
Can I tell them what I'm drinking?
I think you should.
All right.
That's a beautiful
So,
start.
It was recommended to me 4 times. I had to try the dope. And it is an incredible 10% triple. It's delicious. Perfect sweetness. Stop it with the triples. Just incredible. I also had the mandarina, which is the tangerine kolsch, which was top.
That we can agree on.
Loved it.
1,000%.
Loved that one too.
I haven't had the dope. You guys know if you watch, I'm shaking my head because this is a long-standing argument we have about pre-gaming. You don't pre-game with a triple. I mean, humans
It's risky.
don't pre-game with a triple.
It's risky.
And then to start, I tried the new Philly Beer Week release.
So what you're saying is you had a couple pre-show beers tonight.
I did. Yeah, the Philly Beer Week release is Marigold Moondrops. Right? Did I say that right?
Yep.
Marigold Moondrops, and I was really impressed with that. The color blew me away. The pale straw color of it was just amazing, and it was equally as good.
Hey, you kids at home, Philly Beer Week starts today, right? So there's all kinds of fun
Yep.
shenanigans going on for the next week.
All right, I'll stop.
No, it's fine. I'm drinking a Tiny Tickle, the old standby. You know me. You know my pregame strategy. Just a Tiny Tickle to start things off.
Start low.
Yeah.
Start low. Ramp your way up.
Ramp my way up, and
It's
that
a marathon, not
way
a
you don't
sprint.
crash and burn.
Yep.
But if you take a look at him, and then you take a look at me, you see he's 6 times the size of me.
That's true.
So he can do triples to start off.
Whatever, dude.
Long standing.
Bro,
Get into your questions,
All right.
man.
You know you like it.
what do you got for us,
All right,
B?
so I'm going to start with you,
Go
Jim.
easy, go
I'm going
easy.
to start with you. It
All
is easy. How long you been with the company?
Since the beginning. Let's see. We started
2015?
2015. I joined in mid-2015. Now, my partners, some of them had already started things. I mean, it was well underway. But they were on the launch pad. Needed a little bit more capital to get Levante started. And I was just I was working with another brewery at the time out of Phoenixville, and and things changed, and there was an opportunity to talk to Tim Floros and some other folks, and I just was I instantly knew that this was what I needed to do and where I wanted to be. And I remember they said, okay, signed a big check, okay, now I own some of the company, now what do I do? They're like, do you want to be an owner or an owner-operator? And I'm like, what's an owner-operator? Like, you actually work for the place. I go, sign me up. So, started the Carter Drive tap room, and then moved on to marketing and social media.
That's what I was going to ask.
stuff.
If you could, I know it's hard, because you wear probably 75 different hats. But
Not anymore.
if you could
thankfully,
define your role, what would your role be?
I have never had an official title or role.
You're the guy that gets stuff done?
I don't know about that, but
You're the guy that they turn
I
to and
just do
say,
whatever they tell me to do.
take out the
Jim,
trash."
build a website, park cars, which I've done, clean a toilet, paint a door, pour beer. But no, honestly, I do all the customer service, customer outreach, all of those things, all the social messaging and variety of all those different social platforms. They're coming in through me, and I'm responding to everybody. Anybody that has an issue, anybody that wants to say something nice, I'm on the other end of it. So it's awesome. I love people. I think it's a great position for me in this company, and I just love interacting with our customers.
And it's such a huge piece of how all breweries operate, I think now, is the social media piece. I mean, if you don't have a lockdown social media outlet to communicate to your customers.
And thankfully, we've upped our game, our marketing game, and we've brought people in that are far more talented, than when I did it. And I think it's given us a more professional and polished approach, and it's scheduled and it's organized. It's not all over the place, and it's a hard job because we have multiple brands, because we have the Revive Seltzer brand and multiple channels, multiple locations. So it's a lot of work, and I give them a lot of credit for keeping it up to date, keeping the content fresh, and keeping the audience engaged. So it's tough.
Oh, because, and I can speak to this because we're one of them. They're like a bunch of little birds out there looking at shiny objects when they're trying to figure out where they want to buy their beer.
Sure.
It's like, you're there, I'm there.
They have a lot of
look,
options.
hey, right?
Yeah, today's craft beer enthusiast in Southeast Pennsylvania, or anywhere, but in Southeast Pennsylvania, has a ton of options.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only
Good
the
options,
local
too.
options, right, Matt?
Yes.
It's all the outside beer that's coming in, whether it's Other Half, or it's Burley, or it's Trillium now is dropping beer through the mail for you. It's literally Equilibrium. A lot of heavies out there that are coming into our area, and it's a challenge. But it's never been a better time for the craft beer enthusiasts in Pennsylvania.
So
it's a wonderful time for beer lovers.
Yeah.
talking about through the mail, a year ago, Mercury was already up and running and running really well. So you were pretty much the only place that I know of in Pennsylvania that had that shipping option up and running and ready to go.
Tired Hands, and I think who in Pittsburgh?
So yeah, it was Beaver Brewing in Pittsburgh did it. So we were second. Tired Hands was first. They beat us by like a month. We had it all in planning. Then they went live, and we were like, "Oh shucks," they beat us to it. But anyway, a month later, we fired up, and it was a slow approach because people weren't buying beer in the mail.
Right.
And then COVID happened.
Yeah,
And
Was it good for you?
It was overnight. Our model changed.
Yeah, well, you
Okay,
guys,
we're
you
able
guys
to-
kind of were like ahead of the pivot.
I think
Yeah.
so. It's like
I assumed. But.
we would, on a good day prior to COVID, it would be like 15 cases go out. Once COVID hit, I think we had our best day was like 120. We're like 3 pallets worth of
in a day.
box beer. Yeah, and that was the case throughout lockdown.
Yeah.
We were, we were blessed to have that model in place in order to, we did it overnight, literally overnight.
March, to your point, March, April, and May of 2020 were the biggest months in the company's history.
Okay.
Yeah, Mercury online sales blew up by 650-something% overnight.
Yep.
I mean, we were like, okay, we got to figure out a way to do curbside. So we figured that out. And then everybody started figuring out and going, look, we need to do the same thing. And now there's 50, 60 breweries in Pennsylvania that deliver through UPS or some other carrier.
And a few of them came to us, and, at least to me, and was like, hey, how are you guys doing this?
Totally.
Like, we got to do this too. I was able to, at least give them some direction, but, it's
Absolutely.
crazy to see, like, how we had the,
Did you have any experience with doing it?
No.
You personally?
No, So Meg Radosh, she's our director of fulfillment. She put together our Mercury program. And
She's awesome, by the way.
Yes,
she
she
spent
is.
a couple times nestled next to her at Beer Fest,
Yep.
pouring beers.
Her and I have union season tickets together, and we have
Dupe.
Yep. Dupe. Yep.
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, she's the center of that whole operation. She and Brett. They do a fantastic job. There's others involved as well, of course, but those two have been really pivotal, when this whole thing kind of blew up. And the curbside orders, they blew up. And then going through summer, you started seeing a little bit of, getting not back to normal. That'd be the wrong phrase, but starting to figure out the new normal.
Right.
Bars and restaurants started opening up again, but they weren't buying kegs; they were buying cans because they didn't want to get. They weren't pouring draft.
Right.
You could come in and get cans and leave, and you could get food. They were doing curbside too. So our model switched to that, and then, retail was suffering for us like everybody else. So you're like, do we go into wholesale? We never did that before, so we pulled the ripcord on wholesale, and that's why you can see our cans now on shelves, which was never part of something that we wanted to do, but it was a necessity.
Thankfully, the demand was there.
Oh, the demand is now. Our wholesale business is outpacing the retail side of things, and now with the opening of everything, retail's starting to come back. So you have to have your fork in a bunch of different fires.
2021, the year of being agile,
You have to be.
right?
Cheers to that.
You have to be. I mean, you're with the imprint. Those guys are probably going through similar situations. Ryan, those guys are like, all right, we got to figure it out. We're opening new locations. That's a whole nother scary proposition.
And we talked to Well Crafted and we talked to Round guys, and they're telling the same story.
Yeah.
It's like constantly being presented with challenges and opportunities.
Sure, the Doug and the guys from Well Crafted, super guys,
Super
and
guys.
Scott from Round Guys. The thing about Well Crafted was, and it was kind of sad, they saw this opportunity to go across the street, and then the restrictions come in, and so we've all been there, where we put a lot of money to redo the stables,
Yeah, and it got closed.
and 3 weeks later we were closed.
I want to talk to you about that a little bit later.
Sure.
But I want to talk to you real quick because I asked him, now I want to ask you. How long have you been?
A few months more than him. My hire date was August 2015. He's actually the one who hired me. So there's a farmer's
Terrible
market.
idea.
Yeah.
Terrible
I can't believe it worked out.
So there's a farmer's market right next door to the Westchester facility, and I used to get my produce there. And so,
Oh, yeah, I've been shopping there.
Okay,
Yeah.
And so I would, I lived within walking distance, so I would always walk past Levante, and, it's like I used to work at Hitchhiker in Pittsburgh, and moved out here to finish up school, stayed for Levante, and so walked past there, they were eventually open, got a flight, talked to this guy, and
Well, and now I hesitate to ask this next question based upon how evasive he was, but do you got a role?
what's that?
What's your role?
Oh, yes, my role is defined, yes, I'm production
I don't
manager.
have a role. I've tried it, just nothing sticks.
Nothing
I don't even know if they want me to be around anymore.
You're like
I'm
a
trying to figure out
ninja.
what
You're
to
like
do.
a beer ninja.
You are definitely our biggest fan, I will say that.
without question.
Yeah,
Without
yeah.
There you
question.
go. That's a good name for
Like,
a role.
I'm like, and hear me out the right way. I just say this in fun, but you kind of get the meaning. I'm like Superman. I'm never seen, but I'm always around. It's like that's the whole thing. But I don't do anywhere near what my partners and guys like Matt and Meg and Trevor and Ryan and the rest of them. They work so hard. We have such an amazing team and culture. I'm blessed to just be along for the ride.
Well, definitely running a successful brewery takes a metric crap ton of effort.
Totally.
In
by a lot of
2015, what role were you hired on as?
I was a tap
We were
room
pouring beers.
employee, yeah.
Okay, so you're a tap room in
Started in the tap room.
2015.
Yeah, I had
okay.
no brewing experience. I kind of, just throughout school, stuck with Levante, graduated, and they needed brewery help, and then got, foot in the door as a brewery technician, and just worked my way up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good story,
He's a
man.
great success story.
Yeah,
Cheers to
cheers
that.
to that. That's super awesome.
Make it
Wow.
No, you're a great success
Love to
story.
hear that. That's cool.
How'd you fall into craft beer? I mean, I hear about the geographic desirability, but was there an interest in the craft beer end?
It was it was gradual, honestly. So like my first introduction to craft beer, what I thought was craft beer was Hoegaarden. I was, I knew nothing about beer, and I saw, I had Blue Moon, and then I had Hoegaarden. It's like they're both wits, but they both
With or without the fruit?
without. I eat the garnish, but I don't actually put it in there.
I had to ask.
But it's like those two are defined as wit beers, but they're very different wit beers, and that kind of was like light bulb went off in my head. Is like, okay, beer's very diverse. And so from there, I was working at a restaurant at the time, and then moved to Hitchhiker, and worked for them for a year and a half, just pouring beer, and it was pretty cool, learning all the styles and all that, and then coming out to Levante, same thing. Is it just my interest grew and grew. A lot of research outside of work, a lot of organoleptic testing throughout the ways, and
just being surrounded by it on a daily basis.
Right.
That's cool.
And, you pick up little bits here and there about what makes a certain beer that, and it's cool to now actually be able to apply that knowledge from a creative standpoint as well as a business standpoint. Is a lot of people have rose-colored glasses and think this is we're just standing there staring at a glass of beer and drinking it, but really it's we got to figure out how to make it efficiently.
Can't wait to see your Instagram when I see you doing that pose with the casks.
Yeah, efficiently without waste, without losing a batch. I mean,
yep.
Losing a batch has got to be kind of
well, the hardest call of all is we can't serve this.
This one's okay. Do we serve?
Yeah,
Right.
it happens to everybody, dude.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, the very second batch that we made on the big system when we first opened, we had to let it go.
Were you brewing before you jumped into this?
Yeah. So home brewing for years, I still do it, and Levante has made me a better home brewer, which is kind of weird. It's like opposite. But Matt and the younger guys are the talent. I've brewed on the big system a couple times. Last time was last September. I brewed a batch of tickle parts. That was hilarious. You were there. It was me, my partners Paul and Tim, and we didn't remember how to use the damn system because they have notes on it now.
They ended up putting like an extra 100 pounds of malt in like the.
Yep.
And it got to a certain point, and I was like, man, I wish I just did this myself.
I know. Yeah, he really was like. I mean, can you only imagine what that was like? Our three knucklehead owners of the company.
Jim, less malt.
Yeah, brewing a beer, and we're like, I don't even remember how to use this thing. And then some of the equipment is sensitive. We'll say sensitive, and the readings, it's like there was all this writing on it. I'm like, I just need to do a temperature check on this thing, and you gotta like tap it and barely touch the dials and stuff. I'm like,
hey buddy,
seriously, if you look at it the wrong way, it goes sideways. But these guys are masters of it.
So that's how when you wrote the check, you already had a background in brewing, and you were like, yeah, this is something I could do.
I knew that I wasn't the brewing talent. I knew that,
but that was
I was a
your
hobbyist on steroids, and I wanted to make beer. I thought about opening my own place, and then I realized at the time, 6-7 years ago, that the best thing for me to do, what do I have more, time, skill, or money? And I had time, and I had a couple of dollars that I could afford to invest, and I recognized that the skill comes from guys like Matt, and that they're the true artisans in there. But I love every aspect of the brewery and the brewery process and every line of business that we're in, and working with my partners, and I've learned a ton. We have some really, really smart, talented people, and they're great mentors, and I can learn a lot from them.
Cheers, you guys are doing
That's
all right.
awesome.
Because,
That's a third one tonight.
It takes
Cheers,
a village, guys.
Yeah.
We're having fun.
It
I'm
is.
happy. We're outside
Dude,
with great people,
it's
drinking
just
good beer.
Just
I'm
beautiful.
happy.
No, I will say the first time I ever brewed a batch of beer was like 2 months before I started in the brewery out in Levante.
Now he's the head brewer.
Yeah. It's still kids at home
Incredible.
don't let anybody tell you can't be a production manager at a.
What you did was you put the hard work in.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Yeah, a fun beer would be something like, we're sorry, the owners made this one.
Yeah.
And like,
Don't blame us.
Brewer's Day off.
It has been a cool journey. It's like it's kind of my story, at least I feel is one of those that it's storybook ending. Like, I'm grateful. I have a dream job. It's awesome work for this company. Like Jim's saying, great people to work around.
I think the beer tastes better too when you love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We put
And when you make it.
Yeah, I mean, we're passionate about it. We really do care about the quality of the product that comes out, and whenever we put out, subpar product where, we try our best not to, and if it ever gets out there, it's like, not happy about it.
All right, so the name, Levante. I have a question.
Yeah. The hell's
I'm a
it mean?
soccer guy.
Yeah.
There's a Spanish team.
Yep.
Yes.
Any connection?
No. So it's
I do want a jersey though.
So Levante in all the Romance languages, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, means to elevate, to rise. That's our whole thing, elevating craft, elevating the community.
Yeah.
That's the spirit of the company. We got into this to better our community, better ourselves as people, as owners, as teammates, work collectively with other local businesses and elevate their craft and ours, and expand from each other. And we've been true to it, but a lot of the inspiration for Levante comes from Italy.
Okay.
So, Tim and another founder that we had, they were inspired by the local Tuscany wineries, where you would go to these small little wineries, and I've been to them, and it's beautiful. And you meet the owners, and you get a real immersive, personalized experience. We wanted to do the same thing at the Westchester Tap Room. And I think after 6 years, we've been able to keep a small, presence. We've got a lot more employees now, and we're a little older, a little wiser, but we're still a young company, and we still have that mom and pop's look and feel, and I cherish that. And I think that's the good thing about it.
So this next question I have for you, the 2 times I've asked it, I've not got an answer that I expected at all. So buckle up, ready? Why Westchester?
All right. So the honest reason?
Yeah.
We found a location there, and we love Westchester, and the location was next to the university, but not in the borough. It had parking. It was inexpensive.
Not enough parking.
That's the problem. I mean, that turned into a problem. It had good neighbors, still does. Good other businesses there. It's near 202, easy to get to, and all of us are Chester County guys.
Geographically desirable.
Totally.
And did you do any extensive market research before going in, or were you guys just like...
We did, but it was more of not just Westchester and the borough. It was more of Chester County as a whole, and those demographics.
Because I'm trying to think, 6 years ago...
We were the only game in town.
I was trying to think who else was...
Well, there was Boxcar. They were in the city. They were in Iron Hill.
That was it.
Right.
And Victory. And we were really the only game in town until I think about 2017, and then Locust Lane popped up. 2018 and 19, that's when you saw the expansion of Phoenixville with Root Down, Stable 12. So, pockets of interest, but now the borough has Wrong Crowd and Artillery right in the backyard, which is nice. I think we'll complement each other really well. You got Stolen Sun. John's doing a bang-up job in Exton. Chester County's turned into a real cool beer mecca of a county.
There's a nice little map down here.
Yeah.
And we got the Wrong Crowd.
Can I step on your toes for a sec?
You already did, so go ahead.
All right. So you were both here since 2015. Just after that is when that Levante line life started.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like Thursday, 5:00 releases.
I'm just gonna grab a pill. I'll be back.
I was there at the first one, and I was just hooked from the beginning there. It was just such an incredible community, and you did such a great job of doing your best to make everybody happy.
Thank you.
When there were too many people, you adjusted, you pivoted every single time. But it was such a great community. I would spend the whole week setting up trades and prepping everything, like getting ready. And then Thursday, I would leave work. I work in Hereford, way down near like Boyertown, and I would leave as soon as I could so that I could get all the way up 100, get to Levante, jump in line, and be there with everybody. I mean, that was just such a beautiful line life and so well done. And the way you had it, it was in that giant overhead.
Yeah, so you weren't getting rained on.
Big.
Yeah.
It was rough in the winter sometimes with the wind cutting through, but the parking.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, not enough parking.
I loved that line
So
life.
did we.
And
I
it
mean,
was
we
such
did.
an amazing time.
I feel like
We
that's the
loved it too.
hallmark of a really successful brewery, is that sort of offshoot community that they build.
Yeah.
Because I can think I'm going through the Rolodex in my head, and I'm thinking of all the really great breweries that I like to be associated with, that I like to do that at, and they're all just very special.
And kind of at a certain point when things got pretty bad with the line life, to the point where like you said, we have some great neighbors, but we had some that weren't a huge fan of that.
Yep.
It got to, there was like the Field of Dreams, mentality of serve it and they will come. Where it got to the point where we were no more of this line life stuff. Let's throw it in a fridge, say it's available, and come get it. And so the line life sort of adapted from the line to, and I think that happened all across the industry as well. People got over it, but it was always we'll still offer the beer to whoever wants it, just not in the this is the only time you can get it sort of.
Very timely. You should check Burley's Instagram post today.
Oh yeah. I mean, Levante was my first line and my last. That was the best line.
Awesome.
Always such a fantastic time.
I love seeing the trades in the beer shares going on in the park.
Is that the alley that this?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just such a super cool.
That secretive alley, that's the alley. And I think that, we drew inspiration from Tired Hands that was doing it down in Ardmore. And, we had a scarce product for a while. And so line life evolves when you have scarcity and quality. And there weren't many other competing breweries around us. And no one was really canning. And not a lot of us had a canning line. We were using mobile canning. So mobile canning starts to rise. Now everybody can can. All these new breweries fire up, so they're canning. There's, again, a lot more options for people. And then to Matt's point, we had a collective decision. We loved the line life. We also were like, we're making people stand in line for hours with their children, and they're coming out of work with their suits on, and
you can't reason with
running red lights to get here.
And I was just like, I love the party and the beer trades and the line life, but ultimately I think we felt, and I hated to see it go, but even I kind of got wise and said, I agreed with Matt and various others that said, is this really the level of customers? Is this what we want to do to our customers? And we started creating more beer, so there was no more panic and scarcity, and then the lines evaporated within a few months. We've had a couple where, and it's funny when we have a line. It's like, holy crap, there's a line of 60 people going out of Carter trying to get in.
I'm just saying, planning a line once or twice a year would be a really fun throwback.
Oh, a line life party?
I
like that.
Hey, we're going to have a release. You don't have to get in line, but we'll be prepared for it.
I feel like line life is the equivalent of a standing ovation. For what's
I understand.
It is certainly a compliment.
And I think people are also, someone like yourself and me, I love it. I think people got fatigued by it. And again, there's a lot of really good, fresh, cheaper beer options where you can go to Exton Beverage, or you can go to
That's
the
a good
bottle
point,
room,
because
or
right
something
now
like
I can't
that
think of a beer
Downingtown.
that I want to go stand.
Believe it or not, I'm more of a introvert most of the time, and I actually met a lot of my really good friends in lines, standing in line next to someone. Be like, hey, Ryan's standing right over there. Like, I met that guy in a line at Levante. There's so much community behind it too.
I do miss it. And I think that's probably something to experiment with. Like maybe we do something where, and again, to the listening audience, it's not to try to create a problem, fake hype, but
We're just reminiscing, kids. We're just reminiscing.
we do it just a.
But seriously,
we just do a 2-barrel system. Oh, that was crazy. So
cans, wrap
here's
off.
where we got in trouble. We had the equivalent of an online flash sale.
Oh, yeah.
June.
Resurrection by Tickle?
We made a quad.
Oh, yeah.
Resurrection by Tickle. We only had 144 4-packs because it was an experiment. And we said we're going to put them on at midnight, and they were gone by 12:03.
Yeah.
And that didn't go over well, and we decided we would never do that again. It wasn't to hurt anybody. It was just
There's an issue with the shopping cart, right?
We set our alarms.
Yeah.
I remember it very
I
clearly.
felt I was taking arrows for days, and we took care of
We
people.
just tried to do something fun.
It was a mistake.
Even before that, I think it's Please Take One. The first time you did Please Take One, that one was super limited too. It was like 1 4-pack.
Second one sold out in a day.
Yeah.
Can't make it anymore though. You fill in the blanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
No more peanut butter beer coming from us.
A little too orange and too many edges on that can.
Yeah.
They said don't do it anymore, Levante.
That beer was
Somebody
way more
did.
expensive than we originally planned.
Very
for it to be.
expensive beer to make. That's all we'll say.
Cease.
That's why when I'm looking at breweries in PA or beer gods or beer nerds and I'm seeing just blatant patent infringement, I'm like,
It is cool to kind of be on somebody's radar though, like that. You know.
well, remember, these companies have software that scans social media and looks for these things and alerts them to it. Disney
And a
is
team
one
of
you don't want to
attorneys.
mess with.
Well, I'm just confused about all those Star Wars stuff coming from down south. How
They're
is
Don't,
gonna-
even, don't even get
they're
me
gonna
started
get
with
you.
that nonsense.
They're going to get you.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
I don't know.
All right, so
Terrible
I
beer.
always thought the limelight and the great demand for your beer came from the nostalgia of brewing beer in a mushroom growing facility
It used to be a mushroom growing
And a
facility,
tire
yeah.
warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
and a tire warehouse.
Before it was Carter
mushrooms
Drive,
and tires.
it had mushrooms and then it had tires. The walls were black.
Yeah. The floors are sloped like it was a mushroom warehouse.
Yeah.
You win, because Stable 12 had a horrible story about what they had to go through to repurpose their place. That sounds awful.
I was not there for the
Yeah.
mushroom stuff.
No, I wasn't there for the mushroom stuff, and I was right after the cleaning and the painting and all that fun stuff. I came in and the tanks were there, but we didn't have the boiler hooked up. Couldn't run it yet. So we were brewing everything on a one-barrel system, which we still have.
Is that your test batch system?
Yeah.
Not
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 anymore.
anymore actually. It was. We're now we figured out that we can brew on the big system, just smaller batches.
What's the size of your system right now? What are you running?
15 barrels.
15.
Yeah. We have the biggest tanks we have are 60s, but we're definitely higher. We've outgrown our facility certainly.
Totally. That's an understatement.
Yeah.
And you've renovated that space at least once, right?
Well, yeah, Carter Drive,
Carter Drive,
the
sorry.
original. I mean, when we first built the tap room, I think
Perfect.
what happened.
Low expectations.
Oh, I think we had $1,000 to like paint and dress the place up, and buy some barrels that are still there above the bathrooms, and then we had a couple of $100 maybe 3 months later. Then we had $15 we could go and get a paintbrush and paint something, and it evolved organically. And then we were like, let's put this fake brick facade up there, and that looked better. And then it got destroyed during COVID. We used it as the curbside warehouse. We beat the crap out of it. Everything was damaged. It was terrible. And so the guys spent a bunch of weeks painting, refinishing, changing the whole inside. It's a bit of a darker theme now. I think it's a bit more modern, but still cool. I never seen the place look better.
Yeah.
We actually took care of our floors. That we had painted them, and then when people would walk on them, the paint would come up and it would look filthy. And I used to freak. So then we'd paint them, and then a month later they were filthy. Now we finally got real floors. We were broke as a joke. We almost went out of business twice. Hi, you like that fun fact?
That's awesome.
Twice.
Not awesome, but that's a good fact.
Every brewery's got a horror story or two. We got a couple.
We were close.
I mean, well,
We were on the ropes.
Well,
We were
Crafted
real close.
flooded.
Yeah, I remember
That
that.
was a horrible story. So you're right. If it doesn't kill you,
Makes you stronger.
yeah.
And you just have to rise.
So one thing I've learned about this industry is that any mistakes that you make, you better learn from them and not make them again. And B, it's mistakes can be costly, and so do whatever you can to avoid them. Also, just don't get discouraged by them. It's easy to get frustrated or angry about something, and
you're right.
Keep on swimming.
at the end of the day, it's just beer.
We still make mistakes.
We're not doctors. People aren't dying.
We had some winners in 2020, some real costly learning opportunities that, the seltzers, that one thing.
Yep.
We learned.
Yeah.
We learned. Wholesale really threw us because our products are not built to be on shelves. They're built to be direct to consumer, and they need to be refrigerated and cold. And everybody knows the story of small craft breweries that put fruit in beers. If the temperature gets to 60 degrees or higher for about 2 days, you're going to get re-fermentation in the can. Can seams rip. beer all over your refrigerator, all over your basement.
And can we kindly say that wholesale audience may not be as educated?
Well, you don't put those beers on shelves, you
retail
know, but
that is definitely a one of the dividing topics in the industry. I've noticed is there's the treat this like a perishable product, and then there's the every product you put out should be shelf stable. But the reality is beer is a living organism. It's there's active yeast in there, and if you don't have the ability to pasteurize, you're going to have some sort of re-fermentation. Or if you're not putting in sulfites, it's.
But we won't do that. We're not going to
treat it like milk, man.
Yep.
Keep it cold, and don't keep it too long.
Right.
And I mean, literally, just a couple weeks ago or a week ago, just a suggestion that we're going to put some directions on our cans, potentially to say keep refrigerated, drink within 34 to 45 degrees. I stole it from Aslan. I saw them, last week, and I was looking on their cans, and I have some Aslan to share with you, by the way. And you'll see it, where they clearly have learned the same lessons and are trying to educate their consumer. And I think that's something we just need to do. I don't know if anybody's going to read it, but I don't want to see people have issues with our product. And if they do, and they reach out to us, we always compensate. We always compensate. No one's going to have a bad experience on their own dime with us. No
I
way.
have never once seen anyone say that they weren't taken care of if they had the slightest little issue. Even if it was their fault, Levante always
That's
took
all
it.
we have.
This guy
That's our-
does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You do.
I appreciate
You
it.
do. Every single time.
I have been the guy that has. I'm not. This is not a conceit. I'm proud of it. You have to have a certain mentality for customer service. It's not always fun, and some people, can get pretty upset. And
Beer nerds aren't reasonable people.
well, it's actually
I said, take Jim off the hook. I said that. They're not reasonable people. Speaking as one of them.
I'll tell
love
you, 99.99% of any critical interaction we've had has always ended up on a positive, and we made friends. I think people have legitimate gripes with any business, and they need to be heard, and you can't ignore them. And I think when people know that they're being attended to and that they have our attention and that there's a remedy, everyone's like, oh, I'm cool now. That's all they ask for. That's all the
care.
customer wants.
I just wanted them to care.
We care.
But, it's like going back to saying like he's our biggest fan. It's like he has the ability to put himself in those shoes. He has that perspective where he imagines if he was on the other end, as that customer, and that's why he's so well equipped to do what he does. He's again very happy to have him as the customer facing.
Nobody
the
else
person
wants to
behind.
do it. That's code.
He is info at levantebrewing.com.
Yes.
Here and sip
Yes.
this tiny
Every email, every Facebook post, everything I see, every comment, every Untapped rating, all 480 something thousand of them.
Every one of them gets liked.
No, they don't.
Almost everyone.
You don't know this. You don't know the algorithm that we use.
No.
Okay, well you have to figure it out.
Well, a lot of mine get liked. I don't think I've ever had one that wasn't. So.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah,
but I have been looking at every single one.
I look
for
at them
6
for
years.
QA purposes.
Yeah.
To
No,
make
I
sure
need to
that beers
backtrack.
aren't bad.
When you were talking about learning from your mistakes, not making that same mistake again, when you start to get a little experimental and try new things, does it make you horribly nervous?
No. So what's cool is that you learn from your past, where it's not necessarily even a mistake, but a success, and so you know what works and what doesn't. And that at least, and also doing research enables you, or you can figure out. Like I reference a lot of home brewer stuff because they've done it. They're the ones willing to at a small scale throw in crazy dosing of lemongrass in their saison, and you get that anecdotal evidence of this seemed to work.
Maybe some delicious Earl Grey tea
Yes, yeah.
that you refuse to make again.
No, we make it every July.
Well, so
Do you remember this argument we've had?
I know, we make it. We made it last year.
we just made it again.
It's almost July.
We just packaged
It's
it.
coming
See?
soon.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Every July.
It's coming.
No, this guy, he did it.
I love that beer.
This one is a little bit more tea.
Yes.
going to it on this batch.
That's
I will
good.
say it's a little more spicy.
We're talking about the Earl of Newland,
Yes.
and I love that.
Good. Well, this is it's definitely a tea beer. It's always been a tea beer. But so it's like the other day we were putting grains of paradise in something, and I wasn't sure the dosing. And I looked on a home brewer forum, and I found lots of different home brewers, and it ended up being like 2 grams per gallon or something like that. But that was the consensus with the home brewers of what works, and able to doing that along with what we've done in the past and just piggybacking off of that.
I want to jump on that. You guys obviously have a rotational portfolio that you stick to.
Yeah.
What kind of wiggle room do you have?
It really depends on what marketing and wholesale want as well as retail. We're trying to redevelop our R&D program. We have 2 3-barrel tanks. I think we're looking into getting some more, just to see what from a business perspective, what can we do to our beers to make them more profitable, but also from a creative perspective where what hot combinations
And I think
work,
that's an important balance.
Yes.
Sure.
It's an important balance.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, some of these beers are pretty expensive to make. I mean, and in the end, it is a business. You have to be, financially profitable. And I think when we had our couple of flirtations with going out of business, it hardened us. It changed our course a little bit. Made us maybe get a little more serious and stop goofing around and not necessarily with the beer, but get smarter and focused and organized and grow up a little bit,
What COVID at least taught me, when COVID started, I was lead brewer and I shifted into production manager, but the supply chain issues because of COVID, there were.
Well, we were talking. Who were we talking hop contracts with? Was that Scott or was that Wellcraft?
I think we talked with both of them.
Yeah, it's the hop contracts. Deal with the devil, right?
Well, so we
to some degree.
Yeah.
We actually, expanded and we had to find new contracts. We were looking for, I think we ended up adding like 8,000 pounds to, over the course of COVID that, we didn't necessarily need, but because our demand went through the roof, we had to do that. But
600%.
Those first 3 months,
Do you ever get what you needed?
yeah, and thankfully, it's like
Right.
what I love about this industry is that we all are friendly with each other. And
That's the amazing part. You guys referenced earlier, people were coming to you for help when the COVID hit. You had to pivot, and we've talked to a number of different brewers, and that's the really cool thing about this. There's so many things that are challenging about the industry, but one of the amazing things is kind of like, it's so cliche, but that whole brotherhood.
You have to.
People have got each other's backs for the most part.
Right. It's like, it's because all breweries have different models. It's like even I'm not going to name any names, but, breweries that we could possibly consider, direct competitors, we still consider friends, we'll still, call us and say you're short hops, malt, whatever you need.
Everybody's collaborating too.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. We, and that's what I love about the industry. Instead, not only do we, for marketing purposes get to collaborate, but we also get to, share ideas, share processes, and we learn from each other, and we end up all growing as a result.
Speaking of collaborations, so our friends down in Alexandria, Virginia, Aslan Beer Company, who we've collaborated with before.
We're big fans. We may have done them 2 or 3 times on the show.
We're working with them again.
Are you?
Yeah, I was just down to see Kai and those guys on Saturday, and they were gracious hosts as always, and their operation makes us look like small potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they are doing amazing stuff.
Are you aware of the connection of us, of Westchester to Aslan?
I am not.
So, as I understand it, Kai met his wife at Westchester University. They both attended there, and so they actually have a beer called Westchester, and that's that kind of was our in, or at least foot in the door with those guys. Like, hey, we're your sort of hometown brewery, and since then, it's like we owe them a lot, at least when it comes to understanding how to produce, high gravity beers at least.
They're really great people.
Yeah.
This one's called
and they're awesome
UFO
people.
Tofu. Nice 5.5% Very sessionable IPA.
Sessionable IPA. We love sessionable IPAs.
I'm a big fan.
Especially when they contain alcohol. We did a few episodes back. We did a non-alcoholic
It was the
episode,
worst episode we've ever
and
done.
a non-alcoholic beer labeled their IPA as a sessionable IPA.
And it's non-alcoholic.
At 0%, it would be fairly sessionable. I think.
That's like when you go for Halloween and someone gives you celery.
Yeah.
You're not. I mean, what's
You
the
don't wanna be
point?
that guy.
What's the
You don't
point?
wanna be that
So, cheers. Give this one a
Yeah,
shot,
thank you,
guys.
man.
Thank you so
Again,
much.
thanks for being here. It's got a nice nose on it. It's tasty.
So this entire time I was super
yeah.
involved in the conversation,
Yep.
and I
Isn't that
completely
good?
ignored all our comments. But it's a good thing because we don't actually have too many, since there are like 35 of our followers here
A
tonight.
little shout out. I think we've taken over 6 or 7 tables here at the stables.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have a solid core crew that rolls with us.
Cool.
And so thank you to you guys for coming out tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Wow, this is great.
It's really nice.
Super refreshing.
Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect spring, summer sessionable
like
beer.
that.
Yeah.
Super fresh. They had just amazing beers down there, and they're doing some incredible stuff.
Label art's nice. Yeah.
It's just like Taco Cat. it's a forward and backward the same palindrome.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
They like their palindrome beers down there in
Do
Aslan.
they?
Yeah. They have Taco Cat, which
We
is
may
their-
or may not be stopping by on the way down.
Yeah, I hope we can get down
Shit.
to Aslan and
Heading down to Richmond?
we are, and hopefully stop by Bloody Chainsaw.
We're probably repeating. Do you know Bloody Chainsaw?
No. Tell me about
Should have
that.
brought some.
That's a fail on our part. You are the Bloody Chainsaw master, so
Bloody
please.
Chainsaw is one guy.
He's
He
a-
hasn't found an actual location yet.
Jim, his beer.
He's a gypsy brewer.
Oh my
He,
god.
he doesn't
That
have
good?
gypsy. He
What's
basically
he make?
We'll get back together and
and
I'll
he
bring
just
some
gives
over.
everything away. So he can't sell it. He can't trade for it. That would be against the law. So he continues to brew and refine all his recipes and get everything going. And he'll just, if you can get lucky enough to get in contact with him, you could get a bottle of what he makes and try it.
So we may have to do a follow-up
And-
show after Richmond where we come back and
Oh
we'll,
my gosh.
we'll have all kinds of stuff to share with you guys.
that'd be
Crazy stuff that is just
Well, we do-
so good.
We just, on an upcoming episode, we're featuring his peach, cinnamon, vanilla.
We were made
fruit
for each
beer.
other.
We were made for each other, yeah. And his stouts are
It was like a warm hug.
It was a warm
It
hug.
was like a warm hug from your grandmother.
That's awesome. We hit a bunch of places down in Richmond. Triple Crossing, The Vale, Answer, Vazen. God, where else? We're Bingo, Arden, just all over the place.
Have you been to Hardywood down there?
We didn't get there. We just ran out of time.
There's so many.
They're really that's a whole week trip, and we pushed it. We did about 9, starting at 11 in the morning. Well, first we went to Mekong, hung out at the bar there. Then we get this,
There goes your night.
and I'm like, we're in trouble because we started at like 11 o'clock when they opened or whatever it was. And then we rolled around to the Answer, and then just hit a bunch of different places. 7 o'clock, it was getting stupid. Like,
It's tough.
I was kind of hammered,
It's tough.
and my boy Sean, hey Sean, we were kind of hammered, dude.
Sean.
We were hammered. I'm glad I called the ball on that.
It's tough.
We met these cool dudes down there, right? We kind of just sat at a table. They were hilarious, right? We partied with them, raised hell like we had been friends for years. Like it was just, I don't know how, like it was just getting blurry by that time. And then
Who was this?
Place.
That's the best, man.
this is
That's
down
the
in
place.
Richmond.
Yeah.
And it got a little hazy at Star Hill. And then I was like, we got to go home. So we got in the Uber and went back to the hotel. We watched the Sixers game. We ordered Chinese food to the hotel. Get this
After
shit.
being at Mekong?
Dude, get this shit. I'm on DoorDash, folks. And I'm like, I'll take the General Tso's chicken and I'll take this.
You were at the home, didn't you?
And I hand it over to my boy Sean. He's hammered, and he gets 3 times the food by accident because he's hitting it. $100 and something worth of Chinese food shows up in 2 big bags, and there's only 2 of us. watching the Sixers game. And I'm like, what the
DoorDash guys, like, what the hell's going on in here?
At a hotel party.
The entire, I know. I was like, when he opened up the door, he was grinning. Like, what are you two doing? You making a film in there? So I was like, whoa.
We just like to put it in the bathtub.
He hands me this food. The whole floor reeked of Chinese food. And we watched the Sixers play. And I look over, and my boy's passed out. It was a good day, and it was a safe day. But I'm like, I'm too old for this shit.
What'd you do with the food?
Well, I ate mine.
Yeah.
And then he ate his. And the other two people weren't there. The other two people weren't there. I'm like, what are we doing with this? We literally bagged it up and stuck it outside of the door. And we tipped the help big time. Because that was not right.
Moo guy pan for you. Moo guy pan for you.
If anybody was hungry that night, rolled by about 9 o'clock, we're like, yeah, that looks pretty fresh. It was insane.
Room service.
It was insane.
That's awesome. I mean, these guys are crazy. The first time we met, you remember? Was up at Funk.
That was a good day.
Up in
Oh, my
Bethlehem.
goodness.
We were going up to a concert up at Steel Stacks.
Yeah, it was me, Andy Beacho, Sean, and you were there. Yeah.
You, Andy, and Sean, and I was wearing my Levante 2nd anniversary shirt. I was up at the bar drinking. I came walking back. This dude walked past me. He's like, "Nice shirt, man." And I was like, "Thanks." And then we got to talking, and it was him. And
It's love at first sight.
you guys, I like how you do your field work. You guys get out and about and check stuff out.
220-something breweries.
I used to love going to Funk.
Funk is underrated.
They are.
I think their Pilsner is called King. I may mess it up, but it's like King Ludwig or King something. It's terrible. I don't remember the name. Fantastic. And then citrus is always a banger, and double citrus. But
And it's a fun time.
good beer country up there. Got the guys from Bond, who are just super awesome people. Bond Place. Lost Tavern guys, we love them.
Oh, they're really good.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
we
very
mixed
good
it up
people.
with them a bunch of times.
Yeah, when we met at
They're fun.
Dank Days at the RAR Beer Fest, the Lost Tavern guys, they were along with us the whole entire time. If you are interested,
Tony and Ken?
no, but I can get one.
What do you got there, man?
Tom brought something for you.
Oh, little Horace.
Oh, hello.
Oh, well, we like this.
Oh.
We like.
Hello.
Let me see
Hello there.
this.
Yeah, what is that?
We always do a little.
Thank you, sir.
We
There you
always
go.
do a little feature
That's
called the guest
fantastic.
beer. So we love all the beers that you guys are pumping out.
Oh, this is great. to
But
have guest
to
beers.
thank you for hosting us, we always like to bring a
Thank
little
you.
guest beer in.
I appreciate that. And
Tom,
quite a whale
you
of a
want to
beer
walk
there.
the kids through this beer?
So I was lucky enough this year to win the lottery to get a Horace membership.
Nice.
So I got every Horace bottle I could get my hands on.
Right
It
on.
cost me basically more than a used car would cost me to get all these bottles from California home. I did not do it again because it's a huge, very huge
It's a
investment.
commitment.
But
But
we're
I
really
do
excited about this beer.
I do. I have a lot of really great.
Could have
Horace
aged that
beers.
one.
Yeah. I bought a case of this one.
Okay.
So the case was the limit. So got to hit that limit. But yeah,
That's awesome.
feel go to town. That one's it's
Thank you.
one of Horace's most successful beers was called Dose. So this one is called Another Dose, which is basically the same exact recipe,
Yeah.
but the
Should
next
not have
year.
given this to me because he's going to hear it. This is other
Well,
level.
so
this
here's
is
the deal.
Incredible.
Um,
This is the aroma. I haven't even tasted
Tom is. I already talked about Tom being a fanboy, and he's
Yeah.
probably angry at me right now because I didn't. He told me I had to mention specific. We lost these two. They're gone.
So it's like, for me, it's like, to be perfectly honest, like, I don't get out much when it comes to, like, craft beer nowadays. I'm not chasing bottles as much as I used to be. Like,
super.
don't get me wrong, if the opportunity, I'm the type of person that I will either drink very cheap beer, like Miller Lite, or, like, if I'm buying beer, like, I'm spending good money.
By the way, that was one of the questions I was going to ask that I'm not going to get to.
Okay, all right. But, like,
What's your post-shift beer?
anything like a lager. some lager,
There you go.
pilsner,
There you go.
anything light. You know, I'm over the lactose thing, but this one, it's like I just
so
like
good.
I want to know how to make this beer, and I'm just like I'm looking at the body, and this stuff's like motor oil. Have you guys ever had Hornswoggler?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's like
What I was trying to say is he told me I had to mention what beer
Mercurial Silk.
because he loves
It's a banger.
that
really
beer.
awesome.
Good beer.
Good.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. That's the one where you buy the case when it's available and put it in the back of the fridge, and then every couple weeks you can have one. You have to ration yourself because it's not always available, so you can have one every couple weeks, and it lasts you almost through the
I
until
want
you
a
make
barrel
it
aged
again.
in burgundy barrels.
Oh my goodness! In any
It
barrel.
would be good.
But just
It would be.
Mercurial Silk itself, but it's just an amazing.
See, I kept my promise.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Perfect temperature on this one too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's room temp, and it's just so. It is real thick. It's great.
You know, I'm
Body,
trying to just think of how to do
For
this.
me, it's a touch on the sweet side.
I think that I'm thinking there's maltodextrin in here.
Totally.
I have to believe there's maltodextrin, just given the body on it and how sweet it is. But you know, it's like that's what it's like. Our stouts are not this thick,
No.
right? And I think that's one thing we may need to do, you know, in the future is maybe throw some maltodextrin in to just get that body. But
People like body.
People do like body.
Right.
This
It
guy,
doesn't bother me.
this guy likes body.
If the flavor's there, I don't care.
could any of you drink a 16 ounce of Hornswoggler?
No.
No.
Right. You know, it's
Share
like there's but
This
so
is
like
a
there's
total share beer.
certain amount of too much body. You know, it's like in finding that balance.
We put out some barrel aged imperial stouts lately that I believe have body almost similar to this.
I would agree.
And I remember when Matt was so busy, and they're like, "Dude, can you do something with these barrels?" And of course, I only got to like 10 of them out of 100, and we were dumping a lot of our barrel stuff. It just got away from us,
Yeah.
But there were some gems,
Yeah.
and those gems were we didn't, and then we used to blend them too. And I was insisting, I'm like, Matt, don't blend them. Take it right out of the barrel. It has all the fruity, different complex esters. It was, one was in a Hungarian oak tequila barrel. One was in a Burgundy barrel, or Bordeaux, excuse me. And they were just so fantastic. And I think that those, personally, if you're into something like this, I think that was where we took a leap up. And we have to get back into
because I
more of
firmly
the
believe
barrel aged stuff
there
that we used
is,
to do.
especially with you guys, I feel like there is a market there for some of those sexy black bottles that are covered in wax.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's why I wanted to bring it back, and we did it.
I mean,
It's
I can-
Cellar
We want to do
Reserve.
it right. That's the thing.
That was
From
the key.
experience,
We talked about it. We're like, that beer has got to be so banging in that bottle, or that just completely dilutes the whole
right.
sub-brand that we were trying to do. And we've done 3 of them, and I think they've been fantastic.
You know, it's like going back to this is the business is that I don't want to put out a product that is subpar just for the sake of making money, and like that's, granted, we still always want to make money, but it's like,
It's that balance we were talking
right, you
about.
have to find that balance, and with barrel aging stuff is what, to this point, like it kind of got away from us. We started a barrel program that was too big for any of us to handle, where we had to focus on, what's in the stainless tanks, and then the cellar work with the barrel aged stuff got away from us to the point where, we had to make decisions on, this is too bad, let's get rid of it. This is good, let's package it now so that, we can save it and get it out of the barrel. And we learned from that, barrel aging is its own thing, and, it needs its own focus.
It needs care and feeding. It needs
Right.
someone who is in charge. We need a cellar room.
Right.
I didn't want to ask that, but I wanted to ask that,
Yeah.
because you're right. It's a whole. It's part of it, but it's almost separate.
Think about what Free Will does, and how much they have, and how much time and care and feeding that they invest in that program. That's the level. If you want it to be something that
I
is,
feel like it's been a decade,
they're incredible.
right? This is.
And Nate is no joke when it
This is
comes
really
to
good.
It's good. I still feel,
that
honestly, I feel
program.
like it's on the sweet side, but
But
it is
it's-
good.
I love
It's
the nose
definitely
on
on the
it.
sweet
But
side.
it's sweet, but it's really comfy.
I like sweet
Yeah.
though, so I'm loving this.
So our guy just gave us the.
All right,
But-
gotta wrap it up.
I want to ask you one thing. We didn't talk about the stables at all.
Okay.
How did this come about?
The first phase or the second phase?
Let's go second phase.
Yeah.
We're in the third phase at this point.
Second phase. Well,
Okay.
yeah, second.
2.5?
I feel like second phase was pre-COVID. And this is like the third phase now.
This is true. So, first phase was experimental back in 2017.
May not open again.
It was huge, but we had a conditional use of the property, and then the township said, if you want to keep going, you got to make some changes. We didn't have the money at the time. It was sad.
We had some neighbors back there that did not like us.
Yep.
I'd
And
like to say that I can relate to all of that.
But the township asked for the right things. Can you guys please grow up and use real bathrooms and public sewer and and a parking lot and all, be a respectable business. We just didn't have the money, so we had to stop. The property owner is a great guy. Over the last couple of years, he invested a lot of money. I think he was thinking of doing something himself, changed course, got the place ready for another brewery or restaurant to come in. And when I was driving down the street one day, it was December of 2019, maybe November of 2019, I looked over and I saw that they were building a parking lot, and I'm like, what is going on over there? And I called my partners, I'm like, somebody's going to jump in our grave. This place is special to us. We hated closing it the first time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love for this
We called
place,
up the
yeah.
landowner.
It's a special place.
He goes, yeah,
cool
man, it's ready to go if you want to come back. Struck a deal. Brought Jeff Devlin, the host of DIY Network Stonehouse Revival. He's a buddy of mine. He comes in. We used to play music together. We used to be like in a cover band and all that stuff. He rolls in here. The guy's got more talent in his pinky than I have in my entire body and blows this place up.
Whoa.
He did everything.
awesome.
We're just like, just go for it, because you don't get in the way of him. He's amazing. He redoes this whole place. We open in February of 2020. Here comes the coronavirus 3 or 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
We tried to push it another week. Everybody freaked out. You guys better close, and we shut down. We literally are calling. We like, we're going to shut down, shut the place down. And we were sad, like everybody else. And then we could open it gradually, and now it's in full effect.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
I love seeing it back to
I
this.
mean, for an outside drinking experience, kids, top notch. You can't get better than this.
Another brewery wouldn't be as at home as Levante is here.
Yeah,
It's
it's Levante stuff.
perfect
100%
partnership.
agree.
Yeah.
Well, almost was another brewery.
Yep.
But that's a whole other story.
That'll be a different episode.
That's not public knowledge.
That's not public knowledge.
Now it's slightly public.
Many places
Severing.
are looking at this.
We didn't say a thing.
But we're lucky to be here, and we're here long term.
Happy to be
We're
here.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's a special place, like you said. It's family oriented. It's just chill. It's an 19th century German-built farmhouse.
Space to
Civil
spread
War
out.
era.
Hang out on the grass, hang out in the patio.
Yep, let your
go
kids run around by the
yeah,
street.
It's
Yep.
awesome.
I was just noticing the kids playing on the grass.
They're having a great time.
They're having a great
It's
time.
Chester County's biggest daycare. Enjoy it. So
That's it. They're not bothering anyone.
Nope.
you don't see it. It's not a
Everyone's
zoo.
happy. It's great. It really
Great.
is. It's
Thank
a
you.
perfect spot.
I agree.
So before we sign off tonight, I always do this at the end of every episode. What do you want people to know about your brewery?
Wow, that's a good question.
That is a good question. Yeah, you answer first so I can think about this.
I think if people understood the passion and just the love and the hard work that our team does every day, and we don't get it right sometimes, and we make mistakes like everybody, but I want you to know that we're endeavoring to get better, to always elevating our craft, to never growing pretentious or feeling that we should expect your business. We have to work hard and earn it every day. And I just think we're just a group of ordinary people trying to do something extraordinary.
Yeah,
Patty?
and it's like I hate to kind of piggyback off that answer, but the same thing is that the people, I can at least speak for the people that make the beer. We genuinely care about the product that we're putting out the door. That we don't, I talked about the business aspect, and like that's 49% of it. It's 51% of us caring about the product that we're making. I mean, beers. I like to look at beer as. Every batch of beer that I make is divided up into pints. We all shared pints of beer, and that was an experience. And so like that experience is that's what I think of every batch of beer and divided up into experiences. And it's, like never lose sight of that. Is that we truly do care about the product that we're putting out.
But only 51% of the time.
That's a majority.
I'm kidding.
I'm sorry. You know what I meant.
I know what you meant.
Tom, any last words?
That was the best answer I've ever heard. I mean, we haven't done this too many times, but I'm a little goosebumpy. I'm a little misty. I love it here. I love Levante. Thank you so much for having us. This has just been a dream come true. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. This is awesome.
And my last words are from year 2. I was on the Levante train. I got there year 2. From the moment I walked into the bar, the staff knew me and they called me out by name and they made me feel welcome. If I'm dealing with full transparency here, Jim and I may or may not have had a beer or two off camera and outside our real world, so we're buddies outside the real world. And what you saw tonight is the kind of guy he really is.
Thank you.
So he's genuine. The company's genuine. The beer is fantastic. If you haven't been to Carter Drive, get there and hang out. It's a cool, chill vibe. In the summertime, get your ass down to the stables because this spot is one of the premier outdoor drinking spots.
This place is covered in heaters all winter long. There's heaters
Once
everywhere.
again, he's not happy unless he's complaining about what I said.
You can come here in the winter too.
Come down here and drink. All right, guys?
You can drink in the snow.
We're going to wrap up tonight's episode because
My mom's calling me.
way too long. Yeah, Jim's mom is calling him to tell him what a great job he did. And we just want to say, as always, if you've tuned in tonight and you're watching us live, we appreciate you. 30 of you came out tonight to hang out with us and drink. It's
Right on.
amazing.
Yeah, at
and
least
we
that.
would just like to say, as usual, ladies and gentlemen, tonight the beer was fantastic. These
So
guys
great.
from Levante were amazing. We're barely adequate.
We try.
You have low expectations.
We all try. Hey.
Cheers, guys. See you
Thank
next
you
week.
so
Cheers,
much.
everyone.
We'll
Thank
see
you.
next week. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye, everyone.